Recently, I've gotten a few comments speculating which builds are still playable on the new Udyr. Many of my builds have withstood the test of time. Let's see if they can also survive a rework. SimpDyr's job in a fight is to hunt down targets with his point and click stun, while giving his teammates movement speed with Freljords to follow up. The new Udyr still has that point and click stun, and on top of that is slow on his new Phoenix stance, making it even easier for his team to follow up. I consider SimpDyr stronger than before, so if you're feeling nostalgic, you can still bust out this fossil of a build with these runes and these items. VampDyr might be the build that went through the biggest changes and shift in power. Part of what made VampDyr so strong was combining the Tiger Dot with Ravenous Hunter to get a juicy overtime heal, on top of the lifesteal you get from auto attacks. However, since then, Ravenous Hunter has been removed from the game, and while the rework dot might be decent, it has a pretty hefty cooldown, which makes it unreliable. On the upside, the new Turtle stance has gotten a huge upgrade in the sustain department. While the old Turtle stance only had an on-hit heal, Udyr's new W also gives him 10% lifesteal for his next 2 auto attacks. If Udyr uses the Awakened W, he gains a bigger shield, health regeneration, and his lifesteal bonus is doubled. With all this extra sustain, we can survive on low health for much longer and make better use of Last Stand. It's also worth noting that his new Q's max health damage synergizes nicely with the max health damage from Blade of the Rune King. Overall, VampDyr lost some of his damage output, but gained more sustain in turn. I would still rate it playable, so if you want to give it a shot, I would suggest these runes and these items. The full AP burst Hando Udyr had a simple yet fun power fantasy, running up on people and one-shotting them with the electrocute flame pop before they could get a chance to react. With level 5 Phoenix having 260 base damage and an 80% AP scaling, this shit went hard. On the reworked Udyr, this is unfortunately not possible. His new R has no burst damage, only a damage over time area, giving your enemy plenty of time to counteract. Building full AP can still deal some nice damage, but it's never gonna be the same. This is the first build I will pronounce dead and consider worse than before. Rest in peace, brother. Galeforce Udyr is an interesting topic. Similar to the Hando Udyr, you surprise and rush down an isolated target, killing them before they can react. Back in early 2021, when I made this build, I played it with Press the Attack, but since then the game has changed a lot. Nowadays I play Galeforce Udyr with First Strike, because unlike Press the Attack, we get our damage boost instantly. Plus, after bursting our target, we get some bonus gold, which really plays into the snowball playstyle of this build. So the new runes have made this build stronger, but how about the rework? Well, unfortunately, new Udyr's Awakened Q scales with ability power instead of attack damage, which means our dot lost a bit of power, and we have to solely rely on the Q's on-hit bonus and our crit auto attacks. On the upside, we still have the dash lunge into point and click stun on our Galeforce plus E combo, which was the entire reason I came up with this build in the first place. Overall, I think these changes roughly cancel each other out and leave the build still playable. If you want to try it out yourself, here are the runes and items. The power fantasy of Officer Udyr lies in stun locking the enemy and holding them in place for your team. The E-stun into Everfrost combo still works like before, only that it has experienced some nerfs since the creation of the build. Everfrost Root's duration has been reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1 second, and Ram stance stuns is only 0.75 seconds compared to Bear stance is 1 second. So in total we lose 0.75 seconds hard CC duration. On the upside, the reworked Udyr now has a slow on the Phoenix stance, which makes locking down a target easier, and buying Randuin's Omen is no longer required. Instead, we can build Deadman's Plate for a second item, which should help us apply our stuns more reliably and have an easier time chasing enemies. Overall, I would say the build lost a bit of power, but is still fun to play. If you want to try it out, I would suggest the following runes and items. Maskmaster Udyr is all about the synergy of the 3 masks, burning the enemy with Liandry's Torment and Demonic Embrace, while their magic resistance is reduced by Abyssal Mask. Now back when I made the build, it took a bit getting used to having Phoenix deal burn instead of burst damage. However, with the new Udyr, this is exactly what you want. As a matter of fact, Demonic Embrace has become a core item on him. It synergizes well with his new Phoenix stance's damage overtime, which applies Demonic Embrace more often. On top of that, the awakened version of the Phoenix stance deals bonus damage based on the enemy's max health, just like Liandry's Torment and Demonic Embrace. Maskmaster Udyr is a prime example for a build that has gotten stronger, and I would highly suggest giving this one a whirl. These are the runes for jungle and top lane respectively, and these are the items. The strategy behind AuraDyr is very simple but effective. With the resistance aura of Locket, the burn from Sunfire, the magic resist reduction of Abyssal, and the attack speed slow of Frozen Heart, you are basically a walking debuff for the enemy team. With the reworked Udyr, you can now add another debuff to the list, his Phoenix stance is slow, which is a great addition to the build, because it helps to keep the enemies within the range of your other auras. AuraDyr has gotten somewhat stronger, so if you want to try it out, here are the runes and items. Khajiit Merchant Udyr is a tricky build that spams shields to apply shield bash hits in rapid succession without giving the enemy a chance to apply their own damage. In light of how Tiger and Phoenix stance have changed, this build has taken a bit of a hit. Udyr's new Q dot deals magic damage instead of attack damage, which makes Eclipse lethality stat less valuable on him. The short in and out burst traits of the build worked with old Phoenix, but not with the overtime damage of the new one. It's not all bad changes though. Udyr's new W gives him a shield and an on-hit heal, just like the old one, but on top of that you also gain 10% lifesteal. Awakening the new W will boost the heal effect and give you another shield. And another shield means another shield bash. So the build really just received a shift in power, away from the offensive stances and more towards the boar stance. At the start of the game, put 1 point into Phoenix to stack your tier and to activate Fimbulwinter's shield with its slow. Max boar stance first, since it's this build main stance now. Max bear second for extra damage, or ram stance for engage potential, depending on the situation. I would rate this build still playable, so if you want to test it out, head to top lane with these runes and these items. Masochist Udyr abuses the freaky interactions between Moonstone Renewer, Bramblevest and Udyr's buffing abilities. Every time you tank auto attacks, Bramblevest's Thorn damage triggers Moonstone and heals your teammates. To play on this strategy, we would build tanky items so we could use this interaction as long as possible. On top of that, old Udyr's Q attack speed buff, W shield and E movement speed buff also triggered Moonstone's healing, because it would count as buffing an ally. Now with the new Udyr, of course the interaction between Moonstone and Bramblevest still work just the same, as they would on any champion. My point of concern with the rework was if Udyr would still be able to trigger the item's heal with his abilities. And the answer is yes, better than ever. His Q, W and E still give an attack speed, shield and movement speed buff respectively. But enough about the nerd shit, let's get to the verdict. Easily one of the most fun builds and still just as playable. If it caught your interest, allow me to suggest these runes and these items. Freljord Warlord Udyr's playstyle is just what his name would suggest, a manly Freljordian charging people down with superior strength and speed. We achieved this with a combo of Predator, Imperial Mandate and Crystal Scepter. Predator's move speed boost got us in range and gave our engage more impact. Upon stunning an enemy, we then triggered Imperial Mandate, marking the enemy for extra movement speed and damage for us and our teammates. With the slow of Crystal Scepter, we could trigger Imperial Mandate's effect even more often, and give our team the ability to follow up on engages. The rework puts this build in a similar situation as Officer Udyr. Building items with slows has become a bit pointless now that Phoenix stance already has a slow. And while the builds might lose a bit of their identity without these items, it is good that we don't have to rely on them anymore. With Crystal Scepter out of the picture, we can rush other items faster, which plays into the gold efficient and snowballing strategy of this build. I'd say this build has gotten a bit stronger, so if you want to try it out, build it with these runes and items. And those are all the builds I made so far. I'm pretty happy with the ratio. While some builds might have changed, most of them are still playable, if not better. Aside from the Hando Udyr. Rest in peace. I'm looking forward to create even more Udyr builds in the future, so if you don't want to miss out on that, why not subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitch. See you then, bye bye.